guys have missed it. Alabama is getting gutted by the transfer portal. And I know none of you, nor should you, be upset about Alabama getting gutted. They've done it to everybody else. And so now it's time for a little taste of reality in Tuscaloosa, if we're being quite honest. And so it's happening to them, and nobody cares because Alabama's had a reign of terror over college football for almost 2 decades. But this is a good question. Please explain to me the sense and logic in Alabama having their players able to enter the portal since Saban retired, but they're unable to replace them. They have to just sit there and watch their roster get bleeded. That has to change. I hate Alabama, but still that has to change. Just because a coach leaves, people can come poach your players, and you can't replace them during the same period of time. So that's a good question. First of all, Alabama doesn't just have to sit there. They can convince those players to stay. It's not like they can't talk to their own players. You can lay out a plan and a path for them that is attractive enough for them to want to stay at Alabama. These guys don't want to stay at Alabama, and the only way to fix that is if you make them employees. That is the only way to fix that. So we can sit back and watch Alabama get poached because their coach leaves. And by the way, there's a spring window coming. Alabama's going to do very well in the spring window. They're going to take players from other schools in the spring window. They'll have great players replacing these guys, just not right now, but they will get them. I promise they will. But you can't do anything about this until you make them employees, because the second you restrict movement, they take you to court and they win. It's that simple. This doesn't happen in the NFL because you have contracts that are collectively bargained between players and organizations. You do not have that in college. So we've learned this now, and the players have figured this out, and you've got agents and people involved that now know if they try to stop me, I sue them and I win. So you can think that the system is messed up, and it just might be. I have no sympathy for Alabama. I can't bring myself to care that their roster is getting gutted. Sorry. I couldn't possibly care less.
It's not fair. What's fair? Who got's fair?
Yeah, nothing.
Who cares?
But if...
And again, they can get players right now. The portal is closed for players going out, except for Alabama because they just lost their coach, right? There's still thousands of players in the portal. Go get some of them. There's still another high school signing class to come. There's some uncommitted prospects out there. Now, are they the same caliber of player that Alabama might have gotten used to over the past few years? Probably not. But they can still go get players and fill out their roster.
They can.
And, welcome to the real world, Alabama. I did see one tweet today as the guy said simply, if this is the price we have to pay for 17 years of domination, I'll take it. That's exactly what you should be looking at as an Alabama fan. You should be like, you know what? We had a great run. As good as anybody's ever had in any sport, and now we're going to have to come back to the pack a little bit.
Yeah, and that's coming. But that is the honest answer to your question, man. Is how is this okay? When can this be fixed? This can only be fixed the day they make the athletes employees. Until then, you cannot restrict movement. Until then, you cannot restrict income. That's the answer, because an American court is never ever going to agree that a school should be allowed to restrict the movement of a student. They will never, ever agree to that. That will always lose every single time. They will never, and I mean never, agree that compensation for an individual should be capped unless they collectively bargain and agree to the cap on that compensation. They will never agree to those two things, ever. So until that day comes, this is college football, this is college basketball. I mean, this is college baseball in some circles anyway. In the SEC, it's college baseball too. But until that day comes, this is our reality, because people started taking the NCAA to court and they realized we can win every single time. That's it. It's really that simple.
Doesn't bother me. I'm still unconcerned.
No, and
ratings are up, attendance is up, the games were great. I don't care.
And what you're seeing happening now, because I see Ole Miss fans and State fans, to some degree, not many, frankly. I feel like our state has pretty good perspective on what it takes to win and not caring about, the downside. We'll get to Ole Miss losing Tyler Barron here in a little bit. Ole Miss fans are already like, oh, well, there's this kid from Arizona State who has better stats. Go get him. Like, they don't even care. They're already focused on the next guy. That's the right mentality to have because they want to be mercenaries. Let them be mercenaries. But when I see fans of schools that aren't Alabama complain about the state of the sport, I just want to tell you, hey, your team has never been able to be more competitive than they can right now. Now, you've got to raise money, and asking fans for more money, it's a bad system. I understand that. I talk about fans getting priced out of sports all the time. But Ole Miss and Mississippi State have the ability now, if they do it right, to compete more so than they ever have before. You're seeing it with Alabama, guys. Alabama's getting gutted. Alabama is getting gutted right now. And they hired a guy that just took Washington to the national championship game. He has 2 current head coaches as assistants now on his staff. They've got all the money. Not NIL money, at least not at the moment, but they've got all the brand power. They've got all the prestige. They've got the stadium. They got the facilities, and it doesn't matter. It does not matter because the current players don't care about that stuff. All you have to do is make yourself attractive on 2 reasons, financial and will I play and win right now. That's all you have to be. Look at Louisville. Look at Missouri. Yes, look at Ole Miss. That part of it is great if you do it right. Alabama, guys, is getting gutted today. I can't bring myself to think that's bad for the sport. Those guys are going to other schools now. Georgia lost a bunch of players to the portal. Now, they're adding players too, but there are 15 Georgia players out there that you can go get. It's a whole different ballgame, and the field has never been as level as it is right now. As frustrating as the movement is and all the complaining from coaches and fans and stuff, you have never been closer to being competitive than you are right now on a national level. Never. At least since 1964.
And that's true. Everything you just said was true. Ole Miss is the best it's ever been these last 3 years, right? I mean, outside of, 59, 60, 61, long time ago, much different game, this is the best they've been. State, down last year after their coach passes away. Prior to that, they won 9 games and finished in the top 20 and had a team that looked like, if they had had continuity at the head coaching position, was poised to do it again.
Yeah. And there's some media crying in favor of Alabama. I didn't see anybody crying when Georgia took Ra Thomas from Mississippi State. Did you? Sorry.
No.
I just don't have sympathy. None at all. Sports Talk Mississippi.